Parts of East Africa, being born with my condition can be a death sentence. People with albinism are regularly attacked, abducted and murdered. Their body parts are used in potions sold by witch doctors.
They just weakened the nerves by hitting him hard, and all the teeth were out.
Do they specifically want the teeth? Is that?
Yeah. It is something that is valuable, according to them.
In Britain, I work as a doctor and lead a normal life. I can't imagine what it's like to live in such fear. I wanted to find out why this is happening.
What do you think it says about the society in Tanzania that children like this are forced into isolation?
The society has to understand that this is not a good thing.
So this is the prison.
And what kind of person would murder someone like me?
Do you think it's okay to kill somebody for money?
Silly.
So why did you do it?
Although they're pretty wonky, these are the same ones I've had since I was 13, and I've never once broken my glasses, which I think is amazing. Although actually, glasses have kind of come back round, haven't they? They're sort of a bit more cool these days. Not these ones, though.
I was first diagnosed with albinism when I was 6 weeks old. My parents aren't albino, but each carries the same faulty gene, which they passed on to me. It means I can't create a pigment called melanin. As well as giving skin and hair its colour, melanin plays a vital role in the retina, so my eyes don't work normally.
Rather than just being still, if you focus on something, they kind of wobble. Can you see that?
I've always considered albinism a disability and spent most of my life trying to ignore it. I even kept it a secret from my wife Ray when we first started dating.
Right, packing time. If I just put everything out kind of as I've got it, because otherwise I'm going to have no idea what I've got. I definitely had an issue about having albinism, and I didn't want it to get in the way of our relationship. I think that was the real truth.
And I guess for you, your albinism had never got in the way of anything in your life before. So you did whatever you wanted at school, you went to university to be a doctor, you'd become a doctor at that point.
And I do remember telling you
I remember exactly.
There were definitely tears from me then.
Yeah, you cried.
Yeah, I did cry.
And actually, then you telling me was a huge relief, because I thought it was going to be something far worse.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, you had some horrible past, or, I don't know, you'd been married to some other, or like, I don't know.
And didn't it work out well? For now.
Yes.
2 years in.
Now Ray and I are thinking about having children. I've spent a lot of time looking into my condition.
For me, I've accepted that I have albinism, and I've learned to live my life with it and been able to do the things that I want to do. And then I've heard that there are people in other parts of the world, particularly East Africa, where that is just not an option for them.
Waterproof?
And the raincoat, because we are approaching the rainy season.
I'm heading to Tanzania, which has among the highest rate of albinism in the world. Albinos who live there have been stigmatized, persecuted, and even killed.
People are being murdered because of something that's wrong with them in their genes. It just doesn't seem right to me.
I want to find out why people like me are being targeted and what can be done to help one of the most marginalized communities in Africa. Tanzania is home to around 16,000 people with albinism. Almost half are children. When the violence against them first hit the headlines 10 years ago, it prompted the Tanzanian government to offer help. My journey starts in Arusha, in the north of the country, at a school where the state sponsors kids with albinism. I was the only albino at my school, but here there are 16. Including 12-year-old Dixon.
Hi, Dixon.
Hi, Oscar.
How are you?
Fine.
So good to meet you. So are you guys in the same class? It's really white, isn't it? Why do you think that?
Maybe because the skin is...
Because my skin is white too.
Yes.
Yeah. What's that?
Melanin.
Melanin.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing. You guys, you know it all, don't you?
Yes.
We don't have melanin, do we? No. Does that matter? No. So do you think I'm the same as these guys?
No.
Why do you think I'm different?
Because the melanin of your color is not the same with this one.
It looks the same to me.
But they are not the same. But in the body, they are not the same.
Why are they different?
Because when you pass on the sun,
It's the same.
yes.
If I go in the sun, I get really, really burnt. The sun is really bad for my skin. Just like these guys, exactly the same.
Yes, because
What?
if your eyes may have already seen this different.
You see my eyes? Yeah. Tell me about my eyes.
It's different.
It's different.
Yes. No, it's not different. Yes.
To an eye clinic to see whether they can get any help.
What's your name?
Dixon. Dixon. Gotta be loud, strong.
Have your card and then join the queue.
We get in the queue. Thanks. You alright? You okay? 'Cause it's hard to see, isn't it? I hate it because it's embarrassing when I do things like that. Do you feel embarrassed too? Yeah. And my heart just completely went out to him because I can completely relate to that feeling of embarrassment when you are trying to just be normal and then you do something and you fall over and you trip up and then you just feel really stupid. You just want the world to swallow up and take you away. And he did that, but we had a chat about it, which was really nice. You doing all right?
Everyone here will have their eyes tested,
Can you try this one?
but only some will qualify for the prescription glasses.
This one? Yes, very good.
Where did you get to? Here goes Dixon.
This vision programme will only reach about 1,000, or 12% of albino children.
Can you see me any better?
So Dixon is one of the lucky ones.
So awesome. Awesome. I've never seen so many albino people in one place. There's such a sense of happiness as well. Nobody here is feeling sorry for themselves. You know, they can completely relate to that, and I think, good for them.
But even in the upbeat atmosphere of this clinic, some of the conversations hint at the darker side of albinism in Tanzania.
Sir, in your country, is there any history of killing people with albinism?
No.
No.
None.
So how they treat you is equal the way they treat others?
I would say, yeah, equal. In England, there are much less people with albinism than there are in Tanzania, yeah.
It's believed that the smaller gene pool in parts of Tanzania is one reason for the high rates of albinism. Being an albino in Britain, where lots of people are fair-skinned, means my condition mostly goes unnoticed. But being so pale in a country where almost everyone is black means you really stand out. That difference has led to prejudice against albinos and fueled superstitious beliefs that have existed for generations.
Have you ever heard anything bad about people with albinism?
Tokea kama vile kuwatenga wakati ni binadamu kama sisi.
And why have they been excluded?
Ilikuwa kuona kama vile wao sio sisi kwa sababu tumetofautiana ngozi.
Have you ever met anybody who says bad things about people with albinism?
Yeah, wapo.
And what sort of things would they say?
Kwa maneno yao wanavyosema, kwa watu kama wale wanawachukulia kama watu ambao ni madili. Sometimes wanasema hivyo, wengine wanasema kwamba ni albino, wana madini mazuri yenye kuleta pesa. Ndio hivyo changamoto za watu wanavyosema wenye akili tofauti.
Is it something people talk openly about, or do you think people are scared to say these things even though they still believe them?
Huwa wanajificha, hawezi akaongelea hadharani, wanajua ni baadaye inaweza ikawakosti.
Do people have names for people with albinism?
Aliona shida sana majina kama hayo. Saa zingine naitwa dili. Dili ni kitu cha nani cha hela.
Asante sana.
As outrageous as it seems, the belief that minerals from an albino's body bring wealth has led people to kill or mutilate them for their body parts. Since 2006, local charities have recorded 170 attacks, 70 of which were fatal. To find out more about these brutal acts, I've come to Mwanza city in the north of Tanzania. This region is known as the Lake Zone. There have been more attacks against people with albinism here than anywhere else in Tanzania.
I mean, of course, people are hurt in wars and in accidents, but you don't very often meet people who've been actually attacked just because of a genetic condition, especially not one that you have yourself.
Children are particularly vulnerable, and I'm on my way to meet 15-year-old Festo, who was attacked at the age of 7.
Hi, are you Festo?
Thank.
When you're in your classes,
Yes.
do you always sit at the front?
Yes.
This is your desk?
Yes.
Yeah. So that you can see the board?
Yes.
I used to do exactly the same in my classes.
Madam Molly is Festo's teacher and guardian.
The mother was in the kitchen preparing their evening meal. It was not late in the night. It was around 7 p.m. in the evening. And while the mother was preparing supper for the other children, a group of men came in. He didn't tell me the exact number of the attackers, but there were more than 4. That is what he told me. Yeah, there were lots of people. He just saw people coming in with machetes, and before he could have a second look at them, they had already cut one of his arm, the fingers, the teeth.
And it must be so kind of sharp and aggressive. To use a knife to chop off an arm is not...
This is now a panga. This is now a panga, not a knife. So the blunt part that is not sharpened, they just weakened the nerves by hitting him hard, and all the teeth were out. In fact, he was cut part of the lower part of the mouth.
And do they specifically want the teeth? Is that?
Yeah. It is something that is valuable, according to them.
After the attack, Festo spent 4 months in hospital.
What do people think about people with albinism in Tanzania?
They think it's the body parts will get man.
They think they'll get money?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes.
And why do they think that?
Because if they go to the to witchcraft.
So the witch doctors tell the people to go and attack people with albinism.
Yes.
Madam Molly has made sure that Festo can lead as normal a life as possible. Surgeons attached one of his
Je suis un noir, ma peau est blanche, et moi j'aime bien ça. C'est la différence qui est jolie.
He does it. It's his problem every day. So when he drops his pencil, he knows how to get it, of course. He doesn't sit there and let everything fall apart around him. He has his mechanism for holding the pencils and wiping his brow, and that is how it is for him, and he's just battling on regardless.
Et moi j'adore ça. C'est la différence qui est jolie. Je voudrais que nous nous entendions dans l'amour, que nous nous comprenions dans l'amour et dans la paix. La vie sera belle, yeah, la vie sera belle.
It's heartbreaking, really, to see what's happened, but heartwarming to see where he's going and how he is now.
La vie sera belle, sera belle, la vie
Wow.
sera belle. La vie sera
Yeah, that is amazing. You know, there's clearly evil at work, which is so entrenched in beliefs that they think it's okay to do that. But when you see him, you see the future. Just by being how he is already, he's such a powerful advocate for coming through horror and getting out the other side. And it doesn't matter whether that's albinism or anything. I mean, he's a kid, isn't he? And he's got basically no hands, no vision, really pale skin, and he lives in Africa. And thank God he's at a really nice school with really nice teachers and friends around him.
Congratulations. That is great, Festo. Tomorrow you'll drink another soda. Yes. And biscuits. So you always get that from me. Yes. For good work done.
The other guys were saying that Festo's the best at school art in the whole school.
In drawing?
Yeah.
The best.
Really? Thank you. Okay. Yeah?
Yes.
It's hard to understand how anyone could cut the limbs off children like Festo. But it seems that witch doctors are behind the attacks. Paulina Alex runs a charity which supports albino families affected by violence. She's taking me on a walk through town to explain how the trade in body parts works.
But our priority is people with albinism. Okay. Yeah. Actually, in Tanzania, there are so many things which are taking place, including the wrong belief that if you have a body part of persons with albinism and you mix with some medicine, you will become rich.
Right. And who spreads those beliefs?
Actually, witchcraft are the ones who are spreading this wrong belief.
So they're the witch doctors?
The witch doctors.
So people are buying these potions then?
Yeah.
And how much would a potion cost, you know?
It is a lot of money.
Like?
Starting from 20 million Tanzanian shillings and above.
So how many dollars is that?
It's like 10,000 USD and above.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of money.
So it's like
£6,000
or £7,000.
Exactly.
For like a little bit of potion.
Sure.
The average wage in Tanzania is only £60 a month. And it's a weird question to ask, but like a hand or a body part, how much would somebody get for that?
According to what I have been hearing from other people, depends on the body part you have. If you have a leg, it means the price is higher.
Because there's more?
Yeah, it's more. If you have hands, the price is a little bit cheap. Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's mad.
Yeah,
Do you think?
sure.
And then who buys the potions?
The businessmen are buying this. The miners are the ones who are buying, fishers. So there are so many people. And sometimes they are mentioning some politicians.
Some politicians buy them as well.
NGO research suggests that the rate of attacks against albinos increases just before an election. It's alleged that even some politicians believe albino potions will help them gain power. But even though the past decade has seen a sharp spike in the number of attacks being reported, Paulina believes the violence may have been going on for much longer.
And I remember when I was a child, my grandmom used to tell me that people with albinism, they don't die. They normally disappear.
Really?
So when I recall back, it means that the killing of people with albinism started a long time ago. How can you say that someone is disappearing?
I see what you mean.
Yeah, instead of dying.
So they, So they were maybe even being killed then.
Yeah.
So it's a very kind of ancient tradition.
Yeah, sure.
It's estimated that 60% of Tanzanians believe in witchcraft. The use of so-called traditional healers has been part of the culture for generations. As a doctor, it's hard to understand how these beliefs could still play such a powerful role in society, especially when they lead to murder. But a prominent local healer has agreed to explain more, if I can find him.
It feels like the traditional healer is kind of hidden away around the back of the village. It's right kind of in the woods, isn't it? I guess there's lots of herbs around. We haven't seen anybody with albinism anywhere nearby. Which is probably for the best, isn't it? Just me.
Karibu.
Mambo.
Poa. Habari yako?
Hello.
Salama kabisa. Unaitwa Oscar?
Oscar.
Mimi naitwa Bujukano.
And how do you know all about the different herbs? How do you learn that?
Mimi kujifunza dawa nilikuwa naletewa kwenye njozi. Hiyo ni mti fulani, utatibu hivi, ndio maana ya kuitwa mganga wa tiba asili.
But how do you learn? Did you learn in school, or how do you know the science?
Hii sayansi sio ya kwenda shule. Hii ni sayansi kama nilivyosema.
Wow. So if I became a traditional healer, I could have saved a lot of time at university.
Kupenda kuwa mganga wa tiba asili huwezi kwa kitu kimoja. Kwani huna ile njozi ya kuziota zile dawa. Maana yake huwezi ukawa mganga wa tiba asili. Kwa sasa ninapoenda kumuonyesha sasa, namuonyesha nyumba zangu ambazo ndio nafanyia kazi. Hizi hapa.
And so what is this herb? And what does it help with? What's it for?
Hii kusaidia kama nilivyosema, mambo ya mikosi, kila mtu ana mikosi. Na maana ya mkosi, unapoioga maana yake mikosi imeisha, watu wanakupokea vizuri. Ndio maana dawa unajua hapa imefanya kazi. Hata mimi kama wakimleta hapa kabla hawajamfikisha hospitali, siwezi kumtibu. Namwambia nenda kwanza hospitali. Kwa sababu inawezekana kumbe ni malaria. Wanajua sasa hii sio malaria, ndio wanawarejesha kwetu.
Asante.
Haya.
So you are a traditional healer. Is that different to a witch doctor?
Mimi mganga wa tiba asili niko mbali sana na mpiga ramli. Kwani mpiga ramli yeye kazi yake ni kutafuta kuchonganisha. Mchawi yeye kazi yake ni mambo mengine kabisa. Kwa hiyo mganga wa tiba asili yeye kazi yake ni kujua dawa za kuponyesha magonjwa. Hana tatizo lingine. Yeye mganga wa tiba asili kazi yake kubwa sana kufanya juhudi chini aponyeshe magonjwa. Kwa hiyo huyo sio mpiga ramli.
After the attacks started coming to light, the Tanzanian government decided to regulate traditional healers. In order to practice legally, you now need to be licensed, and Mr. Bujikano is working with the police in an attempt to root out the violent witch doctors. Before I leave, I wonder whether there's anything he can do for me.
Hii unapoikamata maana yake tayari umekamata kitu ambacho babu yangu alichonikabidhi. Basi haka sasa nakatemea mata yangu naanza kusafisha. Hivi kama una mikosi itoke ili kusudi uende njia zako ziwe nyeupe. Hakuna mtu wa kukufanyia madhara yoyote yale. Kila ukisimama kwenye umati wa watu unaongea maneno yako wanakusikiliza. Hata kama una shughuli zako zipande juu. Asante sana.
Thank you. Thank you. It's, for me, not something that I would be paying any money for, or bringing a gift, as he likes to call it. But it is part of their culture, and he's obviously a prominent, relatively wealthy member of that village society. So he is listened to, and so you could see how if somebody like him went off the rails and decided that they wanted to use people with albinism in their potions, that probably people in the community would go with it, especially if there was a big financial reward behind it. So they have a lot of power, I would say.
As well as cracking down on witch doctors, the Tanzanian government has tried to safeguard children with albinism by offering those in high-risk areas somewhere else to live. Many have been placed by their families in secure residential centres called protectorates.
We're following a member of the Tanzanian Albinism Society, and as you can see, well, you can't really see really, because it's just a dirt track with lots of dust coming off the Jeep in front.
Charles and Coolwell had to flee their home 4 years ago and put their 2 children into one of these centres. Since then, they've had 3 more.
Asante kukufahamu.
Yes.
Yes, it's better. I was too slow.
Yeah.
And these are your children as well. And what's your name?
Peter.
Peter. Nice to meet you, Peter. Mambo. Can I have a hug?
Hey,
how are you?
Habari yako?
You're adorable, aren't you?
Mama poa.
Say poa. Oh, cool. Yeah. And who's this?
Salma.
Salma. And how old's Salma?
Ana mwaka mmoja na miezi mitatu.
As both Charles and his wife are albino, any children they have will always have albinism.
So 2 of your children are in the protectorate centre. How safe is it for you all living in the village here?
Hapa tangu niingie sijaona tatizo lolote au mtu wa kunibuguzi au kinyemelei zozote hamna, sijaona kabisa.
So you had to leave the village that you lived in for how many years?
Uko tangu nilizaliwa mimi mwaka 1977 nikatoka pale 2012.
Wow, so you lived there for your whole life until 4 years ago? And would you ever want to bring your other 2 children back home?
Mwisho nilichukua majukumu hayo, mara ukienda watoto wanakulilia wanakuambia baba.
Has Mummy been to see her other children in Buhangija recently?
Naogopa labda kuwa tuna sehemu ya kimjini kama Shinyanga hapo, anaweza labda hofu ya kwamba akabuguzi kwamba anasema anapelekwa Buhangija.
If Charles wants to see his children, it's 2 hours each way on public transport. He can only travel when he can afford it. The tiny wage he earns from fetching water means the £2 bus fare is usually out of his reach. The last time Charles saw his children was 4 months ago.
Here we are.
There are 9 protectorate centres like this across Tanzania. Since 2006, more than 500 children aged from 3 to 18 have been hidden away behind high walls and barbed wire. Nobody can go inside without permission from the government, and it's guarded 24 hours a day.
Hi, Shoma. How old are you, Shoma?
I'm 10 years old.
And who's this, Shoma? Is this your teacher?
Yeah.
And how many of the children with albinism who live here are able to go home?
Most of them are remain here
Why is that?
because they are being afraid. Very minority parents come to teach their children.
So Charles is unusual in that respect, then?
He is good.
That is great. Yeah. So this is your son, Charles?
Yeah. This one.
So he's been here since the age of 4?
Not 4, 3 years.
Since the age of 3?
Yeah.
Okay. And how do Charles's children cope when they see him and then he goes?
They feel it's so unfair.
They don't like it?
Everyone wants to stay with her parents, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Could you imagine ever leaving your children like these parents have?
Oh, I can't leave my children.
To understand what life is like for the children here, I need to speak to the headmaster.
Hello.
Oh, yes. My name is Selemani Shabani Kipanya. Yeah, I'm a school headmaster and the center as well.
So you're in charge of the Buhangija Protectorate
Yes,
Center?
Buhandija as well.
Wow. Right.
It was special for the people, for the blind people.
So it was always used for blind people?
Yes, before the killings of the albinism started. Yeah, there was no fence. It was just open.
So that's all been added in since the attacks happened?
Yeah. Yeah. The problem we have is that the space is not enough.
Is the government helping you to increase that space, or?
Yes, they are trying to do that.
And do you ever do any trips to go out to take them out of the centre?
Not more than. Sometimes we have the people who are helping us. They take them to several areas, but most of the time, they used to stay here.
Stay here.
Yeah. This is the dormitory. As you see.
What do you think are the psychological problems of living here for the children?
You see, living here, from the morning, you are here doing nothing, especially for those who are not studying, you see. They wake up in the morning, they stay here. You see, they are not allowed to go outside. You see, no places for sports and games, as you can see. So they are there. So it's not good.
What do you think it says about the society in Tanzania that children like this are forced into isolation?
I think the society has to understand that this is not a good thing. That's the first thing, that this is not a good thing to isolate, to segregate some people because of their skin color.
Yeah.
You see, that's not good.
Yeah. Do you think there's any progress towards that?
Yes. For almost a year now, we have not received any new entrant coming to this.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So nobody
for
knew
almost
at all?
a year now.
Okay.
Yeah, no new entrant.
So do you think there'll be a day where protectorate camps like Buhangija are closed down?
I think, I'm hoping so. We used to receive them every day, but now...
It's settling down.
Yes.
Well, that's really good to hear. Thank you so much for talking. It sort of makes you think about having albinism and bringing that forward and having children. And one of the things I'd been really worried about is having a child with albinism and not wanting that. I still feel that I wouldn't choose to have a child with albinism, but when you meet people like this, you can't help but feel, in terms of what I would be able to offer to a child who had albinism in my life, they could have a fantastic life. And that is so distant to what would happen if you had a child with albinism in Tanzania.
It's awful to see small children separated from their families and kept locked behind high walls to stop them from being murdered. I want to know what the police are doing to catch the killers and punish those involved in the trade.
I haven't really met anybody who is in charge or responsible for the crimes that are happening to people with albinism. It makes me feel really angry. You know, everybody should have a right to have a just, fair life, whether you're black, white, or anything in between.
After some last-minute negotiation, the acting commander of the police service in Mwanza has agreed to meet me. I'm hoping he'll be able to give me some answers.
My name is Augustine Senga.
Very good to meet you, Mr. Senga.
Regional Crimes Officer, but for the time being, I'm acting as the Regional Police Commander.
Excellent.
My commander is on vacation.
So you're in charge?
Yes.
Excellent.
You're welcome.
Very good to meet you. Thank you.
Very much. You're welcome. Can I accompany, please? Yes. You're welcome.
And what are the challenges for you as police commander in fighting these sorts of crimes?
These particular crimes are done secretly, completely secretly. Sometimes we find the members of the family. So you find and investigate a case of which the members of the victim are involved, it becomes very, very difficult. But
so the family members
sometimes
are conspirators in the cases?
Of course, geographical locations of our area, this region is huge. Sometimes to reach every area where these people of albinism are, it's a problem. And sometimes they're hiding them in their areas locally, so we find it difficult for us to identify those areas. We find someone has been killed. We see this as a crime, serious crime. I have one case of 2008. Person has been sentenced to death. He's waiting his punishment.
And so in Tanzania, you still have the death penalty, is that right?
Yeah, right.
And that would be for murder, would that the person who's been sentenced to death?
Yes,
is that...
murder, yeah. Since 2013, we have never had...
How many witch doctors have you prosecuted?
4 or 5, I cannot tell the exact number.
Do you know roughly? Or?
I remember 2 or 3 because I was here for the last year. 2 or 3 in Mwanza.
Has anybody in the whole of Tanzania ever been arrested for buying the potion itself?
I'm not really sure to speak of.
In Mwanza?
And even in Mwanza too, I have never experienced that since I came here.
But there's somebody at the top who's able to afford to buy these potions for thousands of dollars, people have told me.
What should I say? It's in most cases, those they say who are buying those ones, it's very, very difficult. As I said, it's something done in a very separate way.
So it sounds like you had a very big problem and the attacks have now reduced, so things are getting better, but you still think it is still an ongoing problem.
Because there's still some signs of people having this local belief, but education has helped us much, so we are still working on it to make sure that to eliminate it completely.
Thank you.
Understand.
It gave me a lot more faith, actually, that stuff is being done. It was slightly difficult to push him on the sort of higher parts of society, and obviously there is something high up which is fueling this trade in albino body parts. But then he didn't say it didn't happen, he just said he had no evidence for that.
The Tanzanian government has taken steps to try and tackle the violence against people with albinism. And though there's more to be done, there hasn't been a murder reported for over a year.
There's definitely a concerted effort to try and improve things for people with albinism. They still feel, to me, like a very repressed part of society. I don't think you get many people with albinism saying they feel completely safe in Tanzania.
The crackdown in Tanzania seems to have driven the problem over the border to Malawi. In the past 2 years, there have been 65 attacks on people with albinism, 47 attempted abductions, and a spate of brutal murders which have claimed 13 lives. I've come to Malawi to try and speak to someone involved in this recent wave of killings. My guide here is Overstone, president of the Malawian Albino Association.
Hello.
Hello, welcome.
I'm Oscar. Hi.
Fine, I'm
Overstone. Very good to meet you.
Yes.
Do you know why suddenly there was this spate of attacks?
There are some kind of thoughts, maybe from our neighboring countries. They have made their laws very strict. For the witch doctors, they have escaped from Tanzania, they are in Malawi, they are doing the trade.
So they've been kind of pushed out of other countries?
Yeah, that's what we thought.
And then the problem's
now
reared its head here?
Yeah, migrated to our country here, Malawi.
Overstone is taking me to a remote village in a rural region called Ncheu, 2 hours outside the capital. I've come to meet the family of Fletcher Messina, an albino man who was murdered 6 months ago. But first, Mr. Zebra, the local English teacher, wants to show me evidence that Fletcher's murder was just one in a series of attacks against albinos in the village.
This is the graveyard.
Yeah. This is one of the graveyard which was opened and the remains have been removed.
Gosh.
It's open.
And this belongs to a person who had albinism?
Yeah, that's it. This is the source of money which they talk about. That's why they came to kill Messina there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's strange. It's strange. Stealing somebody who's already gone. It's strange.
Yeah, stealing someone who's already gone.
It's
exactly true.
The targeting of people with albinism has shocked the whole community.
While I was looking at the open grave, everybody's come out to see what's going on. What are they saying to you, Overstone?
They are saying that they are not happy with the killing of persons with albinism in the area, especially the killing of Fletcher Messina is a very big concern to them.
Chikumbutso is Fletcher Messina's brother.
Tili kudimba la Messina limene lili a Fletcher Messina imene anaphedwera ndipo anaphedwera malo anowa atakatayima pano. Mtsinje wake ndi Limfumbule River.
You must find it very hard to come here.
Ifeyo timatikafika malo ano sitivana kuti mmala mtendere kwa ifeyo. Timala amene amatiliza m'maganizo komanso ngakhale mzochita zathu sitifuna tifikapo malo ano ayi. Funa ndi mmala amene ali achipongwe kwambiri mu mbiri yathu.
Sure. And what would Fletcher have been doing here?
Ndipo angobwera chacho mchino choka kuntchito mmene amagwira blantaya koma atangofika tidona kuti munthu ali ndi chidi ndipo malo anambosintha ngati mmene mukuonera.
It's certainly a really, really beautiful spot, but it's a long way from anything, isn't it? We've walked a long way. It's very isolated.
Malowa ndi abwino ndithu malingana ndi mmene tidadabadwira kufika napo kula anazoya kuti ndi kumunda kwathu. Andiwo ndifika kapeza kuti ali kumalo koopsa koma anakuzolowera.
And how would people have known he was here? Because it seems like an unusual place to find somebody.
Ambiri anali anzawo amene ankaenda nawo ali achinyamata. Komanso ena anali abwezi ngati akubanja kumacheza nawo ngati azibwezeni eno dalilika osakayikiraso.
And who was it who discovered Fletcher when he was killed here?
Tinadzangopeza magazi ndipo dondola magazi atenda chonchi nkuzungula kantsinjeko tembo ndakaopeza pa mtunda yapo paoneka nsangu mkatikati patsogolo apo 150 meters.
You said that there was some blood here and you found the body over there. How was the body when you found it?
Mtembo tinaupeza utadulidwa ziwalo. Lilime atachotsa manja omwe ni mojoinamu atadula atatenga manjawa. Komanso private parts atachotsa umunso kudula majoini mose omwe atatenga zonse. Komanso mtima, chiwindi, mapapo ndi chifu. Anangosema marumbo ochepa amene atinawapeza bali mu thupi lawo. Koma zinthu zimene zonse ndapeza atatenga.
It's really, I think it's hard to put into words. It's kind of like a, you know, you meet the community and the family and they're basically just living a nightmare. He was just sorting out his tomatoes and was killed in a brutal, brutal way. Because he had albinism. You know, if someone tells you, oh, don't step on the lines in the pavement because it's bad luck, or if you break a mirror, then it's 7 years back, like those sort of superstitious beliefs, you sort of have like a little bit of your mind which maybe thinks, or maybe that is true, maybe I shouldn't step on the cracks in the pavement. But you'd never believe in something like that enough to allow it to let you kill somebody. But obviously I don't have any superstitious beliefs which are as strong as the people here.
While superstition plays a big part in these murders, there's got to be more to it than just blind faith. Back in Lilongwe, the chief advisor to the president has allowed me entry to the notorious Maula prison. I'm going to meet one of the people being held on remand for the murder of Fletcher Messina. I'm finally able to go face to face with someone who can tell me why he murdered an albino.
So this is the prison?
Yes.
It doesn't look much like a prison, but this is the administrative quarters. We're meeting in the deputy chief of the prison's office because they're not keen for us to see conditions inside the prison, so we can't go into the cells or anything like that. Hello.
Sir.
My name's Oscar.
Thank you, sir. My name is Herbert Malone.
Herbert, right. I guess the first question has to be, why did you murder somebody with albinism?
Nachita kutumidwa ndi anthu ena amene anachita kutipanga kuti zimenezo zichitike.
And did they promise you anything?
Natilonjeza kuti atipasa ndalama kwana 40 million Malawi kwacha.
And how many people were with you?
Now we want 7.
And they promised each of you 40 million kwacha? Do you mind telling me about what happened on the day of the murder?
Nangotilimbikitsa kuti tiye tipite kumalo kumene ya malima. Ndi tinapita kumalo kuti ndikampeza munthu.
And then?
Panakhala chiganizo chokampeza munthu uja ndikampanga chipongwe chimene chinachitikacho.
I met with Fletcher's brother in the garden where the murder happened, and he explained to me that Fletcher had had different bits of his body cut off. Did you see that?
Yeah, naziona.
And why?
Fuatsikulo kunali kuimba phone. Ndi akamayimba ana phone amawuzonera kuti mutengeza kuti ndizakuti ndizimenezo funika zinazo zilibe ntchito. Ndi zimenezo ndi zimeneno amalumikizana kuti zichitika.
Do you think it's okay to kill somebody for money?
Sibwino.
So why did you do it?
Chifukwa chakuti nthawi nake zikamachitika ndi ukakhala kuti ukhungu kapena kuti satana akakubwerera suzindikira chimene ukuchita, umakazindikira utalakwitsa kale. Ndiye mpamene umazindikira ndalakwitsa.
Do you believe in witchcraft?
Ndimakhulupirira.
Can I ask, 40 million kwacha, that's a lot of money. How much money as a farmer would you have made in 1 year?
Ndimata kupeza ndalama kone 150,000. Aboya ingati ndalephera ndiye kuti mabwerera ndi 200,000. For yakuti mwina mvula sina inde bwino. Koma nthawi imene ndimaona kuti zili bwino mumabanga.
So what sort of person would have 40 million kwacha?
Sindikudziwa chifukwa ngakhale ndalama yonso ineyo sindinayipireko.
Did you receive any money at all for what you did?
Sina ndiyepo ndalama ina iliyonse. Mwina ndingokupatsana example kuti muzikhulupirira fwa ndalenaka sindikufuna kuonjezera kapena kuyotsera. Sindingathe kupanga chinthu chimene sindikudziwa kumene chikulowera ndipo kumapeto kwake ndikhozoona ngati kuti chinthucho ndachipanga ngati ndini wamisala. Koma ineyo sini wamisala. Komanso ineyo sindinapange zinthu mwa ine ndekha kapena kuti popanda wina wake kunenapo zimenezo zoyo. Koma chifukwa chotsogozedwa ndi zikhulupiriro zimeneyo anali nazo, komanso zimeneyo ankalankhula ndi chifukwa chake ndimalimba mtima onena kuti izozo chifukwa kuti adachita kupanga kuti zimene zichitike, kozindikira kuti ndinenso munthu ngati zimene ndinatani kodi ndinachita. Chifukwa chake ndili ndi moyo komabe ndingopempha Mulungu kuti azindikhululukira koma ndisadzayankhule zowonjezera kapena kuyotsera.
Do you know how long you're likely to be in prison for?
Sindikudziwa.
Really, really shocking, actually. And what happened, you know, because it's not just a murder, it's like a mutilation, there were hammers and sticks. You can blame Satan all you want, but yeah, maybe, you know, it is kind of work of the devil, isn't it? Whatever your religious beliefs are. But, you know, it's not like they were possessed and made to do it. That they did it because they thought they could get money. And now I find that disgusting. Money seems to be the driving force behind this horrific trade in human body parts. I think it shows that life is very cheap. The value on life is much less, and I guess that some of that comes from a culture where people die at home, around people, life expectancy is shorter, there's less provision to deal with disease, and public health is just at a lower level than we'd see it in the West and in Europe. And it's really sad that people are prepared to kill, and it's just a bit more easy come, easy go, I think. The attacks on people with albinism have brought international attention and a proactive government response. Now the albino population is being helped in other ways. Standing Voice, a UK charity, provides skin clinics like this one across Tanzania. So before I say goodbye to East Africa, I'm finally able to put my doctor's hat on again.
Unachukua mafuta yetu. Unajua mafuta yetu ni mazito. Kwa hiyo unachukua tone, unapaka kwenye paji lako la uso. Hapa.
People with albinism have no natural protection from the sun, so skin cancer is rife, and only 2% currently live beyond the age of 40.
Do you have any pain in your skin? It's painful.
Here, the dermatologists offer free consultations and use cryotherapy to freeze off any suspicious growths. was really lovely to see that family with their cute little daughter who had albinism. Her skin was immaculate. She's living in Africa the whole time, and they've been able to access the skin clinics and have been given the sunscreen.
She doesn't expose her kid to the sunlight. So we do examine the feet, the whole.
The mum puts it on twice a day, every single day. That is, that's a big commitment for any parents have to do. Great shoes. Ticklish? Yeah, well done, mum. Asante. Keep up the good work.
After some of the horror I've witnessed here, places like this give me a tiny glimpse of the change that might be possible.
It's so lovely to see the little ones because they are so innocent, they're not affected by any stigmatisation, and if there is stigmatisation, they just don't understand it at that stage. So they, I guess, represent a massive hope for the future. And hopefully, by the time those little children are adults, East Africa will have adapted to enable them to go hand in hand and be equivalent citizens to anybody else in the country, whether they have black skin or white skin.
And I'm heading back to England with a different outlook.
I definitely feel very proud of the people with albinism in Africa. And I'm not in their camp, very, very luckily for me. But I feel that they are very brave and amazing, really, how well they survive given the pressures that are on them. And I think that probably helps me to feel a little bit prouder about having albinism myself. I don't have anything to fear on a daily basis, unless someone doesn't like this film. And I think just the process of talking about it so much has been helpful to me. So maybe that's a bit selfish, but I think perhaps by trying to help some of the people here in Africa, I've helped myself a little bit too. Just to feel a little bit more confident to stand up and say yes, and so what?